Look at this. All the work of Stephen D'Agostino. Nice job, Stephen.
Well done, Stephen.
Appreciate that.
That's
very well done.
Years of work. All right.
From what I understand, Brian Rubin did not contribute to that
No,
at all.
nothing
He
from
fought
Brian
against
Rubin.
it. He wanted the old, boring, lame animation, and Stephen fought the good fight. Nice job, Stephen.
Thank you, Stephen. All right. Aaron Jones, first guy on the
I have no idea if
love
any of
list.
that is true, by the way. I just
I-
like torturing Brian Rubin, who I love. I love
whipping
Brian.
boy.
B. Rubes, wherever you are, I love you. You know that. All right. Aaron Jones, free Aaron Jones. You know, the fact, I think this might be a week that he is free. This is the London game this week. They are playing the New York Giants. 2 of the last 3 games, Aaron Jones has gotten 18 or more touches. He might be finally free. He's had at least 3 receptions in every single game. He's averaging 6.8 yards per carry so far this season. He's had over 115 total yards in the games where he's gotten over 15 touches here. And so in a matchup with the Giants where, you know, this has been somewhat of a conservative offense, I think, look, they're favored in this game. The Packers are. I think they'll be in positive game script. They'll be able to run at will. So I like both Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon against a New York team that's allowed the 4th most rushing yards to opposing running backs per game this season. Aaron Jones, top 10 play for me this week.
8.5-point favorites in London, the Packers, so they will have the game script we expect. And also for all the concerns about the passing game, it's been a really efficient rushing offense in Green Bay, and I think Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, obviously you're just starting them every single week. Okay, Jeff Wilson, next guy on the love list.
Yeah, he's a top 20 guy for me. Okay, so since Elijah Mitchell went down, Jeff Wilson Jr. has at least 70 yards from scrimmage in every game that he's played. All 3 games since Elijah Mitchell went down in week 1. Last 2 games, he's handled almost 90% of the running back snaps for the 49ers. Feels like San Francisco is really like, hey, we're good with Jeff Wilson. We'll sprinkle in some Deebo Samuel. Whatever, they had Tevin Coleman up last week. But let's be clear. In the 3 games that Jimmy Garoppolo has started, San Francisco's 7th in the NFL in rush rate. They don't want Jimmy G throwing. No. They want him handing off. They want him running the ball. And it's a nice matchup with Carolina as teams facing the Panthers so far this year, averaging 25 running back carries per game. That is tied for 5th most in the NFL. We expect a good workload, a heavy workload, and a good matchup for Jeff Wilson Jr. Top 20 play for me this week. He makes the love list.
Yeah, you mentioned Jimmy G looking shaky. I mean, it was an impressive win against the Rams, but Jimmy didn't look fantastic. That touchdown...
Hey. He always looks fantastic.
Yeah, he does.
He didn't play well,
That's true.
But he's a very handsome man.
Even
I'm like, you know...
Yeah.
I'd think about it.
Uncomfortably handsome, Jimmy G.
I'd think about it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this. I don't think he's making a pass at me, but if he did, it's not an immediate no. I'm just putting it out there. He's a good-looking dude.
Wonder what the market is on Jimmy G to make a pass at Matthew Berry at some point in the next 100 years. About 100 to 1.
It's about 100 to 1.
Yeah.
What's more likely? What's more likely, him making a romantic pass at me or an NFL pass to me?
NFL pass, might be more in play.
I don't know. Have you seen my 40 time? I am slow as molasses. I was going to say a different word there, but I want to save Alexa's job.
The pass, the touchdown pass to Deebo Samuel, that was very nearly a pick six.
I'm right. And then Deebo's like, all right.
Yeah, it's all me.
Yeah, all bubble screens from here on out for Jimmy G.
They got the best defense in the league, and I think it's going to be an old school defense rushing team going from here on out. Okay.
100% agree.
Next guy, James Robinson, coming off a tough week against Philadelphia. Seems like you're not concerned about that. He's on the love list.
Yeah, he's at home this week against Houston. I also have him again as a top 20 play. Comes in at running back 17 as we sit here on Thursday morning. First off, you like the matchup with the Texans, right? 2nd most rushing touchdowns allowed to running backs this year. The most rushing yards allowed to running backs so far this year. Teams facing the Texans are averaging 28 running back carries per game. That's 2nd most in the NFL. You can run on the Houston Texans. You think about the last 2 games, they've allowed 5 touchdowns to running back. The Houston Texans have. Austin Eckler got off the schneid last week against Houston. Yeah. Those weren't cheapies. No. All those were like rushing touchdowns from 10 yards or more out for Eckler. So I think James Robinson, who has handled 63% of the Jags running back carries so far this season, including almost 70% of the red zone touches, should have a heavy workload here. And Travis Etienne is a viable flex in this one, but I really like the workload that Robinson's getting at home as a home favorite. I actually kind of like by the way, if you play in Survivor Leagues, I like Jacksonville this week.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, you're not really going to feel great about using them. So this is their home game against Houston.
Yep.
And Houston's played plucky, but still, after the butt kicking in Philadelphia, I think the Jags bounce back and have a nice game in Florida.
I think so too. And look, the Jags now favorites in the AFC South, division favorites, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Your preseason call is best bet was,
yeah.
I believe, the Jags are plus 700?
Yeah, plus 700.
100 to win the division.
Yeah, now
it's
they're,
looking great.
Yeah, plus 170 range. And look, this is the first game all season that Jacksonville have been favored in, despite the fact they've already got a couple of wins. So 7-point favorites, you would expect that, this is a team when they're up, they do lean on the run a lot. Doug Peterson likes to do that, and I think, you can support both of those running backs in your lineup, Robinson and Etienne. Okay, some other guys receiving votes. Both of the New England running backs, Breece Hall. What do you like about these guys?
So Stevenson and Harris, whoever's under center for the New England Patriots, they're going to be handing off against a Lions team that's allowed 120 rushing yards and multiple rushing touchdowns to running backs in 3 of the last 4 games this season. We all saw what Rashad Penny did last week. And so Breece Hall felt like last week was sort of a Breece Hall breakout game here. Season high in touches and snap rate. He had almost 20 touches, played almost 70% of the snaps. He's had 6 or more targets in 3 or 4 games this season. He should be busy against the Dolphins. You see Kareem Hunt there on your screen as well. He's had at least 12 touches in every game this year. The floor is really high for Kareem Hunt. Remember, the Chargers allow an NFL high 6.1 yards per carry to opposing running backs and the 4th most receptions allowed. Hunt they use more in the passing game, obviously, than Nick Chubb. And then finally, we talked about Nyheim Hines at the top of the segment here. We expect him to be the busiest of the Colts running backs, and the fact that he is involved in the passing game should be beneficial.
Yep.
Because they haven't been able to run the ball that effectively, the Colts.
No. Breece Hall's the interesting one to me because he's the guy who's got extraordinary upside, even in that Jets offense. He's plus 1,400 to win Offensive Rookie of the Year right now. I don't agree with that. I think he should be almost the favorite because just the gap between him and the other running backs outside of Dameon Pierce is so big. And I just think that the Jets offense will be better than Houston's going forward. But Breece Hall definitely a guy to watch.
The question was never the talent. The question was was the usage going to be there? And starting to get there, they need to figure out what they're doing offensively. Excuse me. And I've been talking a lot all today. So anyway, just that's the idea right there with Hall. That with Zach Wilson now under center, the expectation is that he is going to start once again. He's been a little bit banged up, but I think Breece Hall, it is starting to become his backfield.
For sure. All right, let's jump to the hate list, starting with Ezekiel Elliott, who I think that we might see on this list more throughout the season just because of the situation with him and Pollard. Why specifically this week?
Well, listen, when you have a future Hall of Famer in Cooper Rush, why are you going to take the ball out of his hands? You're not going to. Under 55 rushing yards in 3 out of 4 games so far this season. But the problem is Ezekiel Elliott, and Tony Pollard for that fact as well, but especially Zeke, just not involved in the passing game. Only 5 receptions for the year. He's played 4 games. He's got 5 receptions. Rams is a tough matchup here. LA has yet to allow 75 yards from scrimmage to an opposing running back so far this season. They've given up the 6th fewest rushing yards to opposing running backs. So Ezekiel Elliott outside my top 20 this week. Basically, if you start Zeke, you are hoping for a touchdown because there's nothing based on his performance this year, the Cowboys' offensive play calling this year, and what the Rams have done defensively that makes you feel good about starting Ezekiel Elliott this week.
No, and we haven't seen a game yet where Cooper Rush has had to throw the ball. Like they've avoided that game script. Cooper Rush hasn't had more than 31 pass attempts in any game yet. So if that happens as well, then Zeke, the rushing attempts, could go down even further. Another guy who's about to see his rushing attempts go down is Antonio Gibson with the return of Brian Robinson imminent. Why is Antonio Gibson on the hate list?
Well, by the way, just to show that I'm not a total homer, sometimes I will put Commanders players on the hate list. Every week this season, his snap rate has declined. Last week, Jonathan Williams came in and played well, was more effective than Gibson. He had that big game in week 1 against the Jaguars, 7 for 72 as a receiver. They were using him in the passing game. And yet in the 3 games since, just 6 catches for 29 yards total. 6 catches over 3 games, under 30 yards over 3 games total. Again, they were using more J.D. McKissick. And so if Brian Robinson, who was activated this week and has been practicing with the team, if Brian Robinson is active for this game, I think there's a chance that he vultures some touchdown opportunities there as well. Since week 1, Titans had a bad week 1, but since then, Tennessee allowing just 3.7 yards per carry to opposing running backs. That feels like they've kind of tightened up That
Oh,
defense.
Oh, boy.
There you go. There you go. I'm back. I missed a day. God bless. 2 shows on Saturday. There you go. Thank you. Please tip your waitresses. Try the curly fries. The fact of the matter is Antonio Gibson outside my top 25 this week. Feels like this is going to be a 3-headed monster in not a great matchup. Feels like the way you attack Tennessee is through the air. I think this is a Carson Wentz game.
Wow, that's scary.
Yeah. You're talking to me?
Yeah.
Listen, it's a must-win. Commanders 1-3, and I mean they're 2 games out of second place in the division. I mean, Eagles undefeated, Giants 3-1. Like they're getting left in the dust. It's getting late early for the Commanders. So big game. I think they. I know that sounds insane, but I think they try to win this on the arm of Carson Wentz.
Oh, boy. Okay. That's terrifying. Antonio Gibson, his season-long stats aren't actually that bad, but so much of that was the receiving work he got in week 1 against Jacksonville, where for whatever reason, just he was such a big part of the passing game that week, and that's just completely dried up, and it just doesn't – like, he had to win this job. Like, even though he had to win it to prevent Brian Robinson from coming in and stealing his role. And
it was going to be prior to the shooting accident. It's not an accident. I don't know why I keep calling it an accident. But prior to that, prior to Brian Robinson getting shot, it was going to be Brian Robinson's job. Make no mistake about it. And so tragic. Luckily, it was not. The fact that Robinson is back is amazing.
Incredible.
We love that. It's a great story. But over the past 3 games, Antonio Gibson has averaged under 50 yards from scrimmage. So it's just you're hoping for a touchdown, and I think whether it's Robinson or maybe Jonathan Williams, I don't know they can count on Gibson falling into the end zone here.
Yep. Another guy you can't count on is Melvin Gordon. Certainly can't count on him holding on to the football. He's on the hate list as well.
No running back has more fumbles this year than Melvin Gordon. 2 first names always a crowd pleaser. Coughing up the ball, not a crowd pleaser. There's only 1 running back that has averaged that has gotten to 80 scrimmage yards against the Indianapolis Colts this season. Just 1.
Yep.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
All due respect to Melvin Gordon, he is not Derrick Henry. #analysis. Colts allow 3.1 yards per carry to opposing running backs. That's the 3rd lowest rate in the NFL. He has the 4 fumbles. My sources in Denver tell me that he is on, quote, a short leash, that they're going to lean on him. I went heavy after Latavius Murray in a lot of leagues this week, because my expectation here is that Mike Boone is not built to be an every down back. Like, he's more of a 3rd down guy. He's a smaller guy. Like, they're going to have to lean on Gordon tonight. I don't expect Murray to be active, and if he is, I think it's just a handful of snaps. I think you'll see Gordon and Boone and Divine Ozigbo. But it's a tough matchup. He's splitting work, right? And again, I think if he fumbles one more time, which has been a thing throughout his career and certainly a lot this year, I think they just immediately yank him, right? Like, he's also, by the way, he was a little bit banged up last week, which is one of the reasons why once Javonte Williams went down, Boone played more snaps than Gordon. And so, like, how healthy is he? This is a short week, right? They're having to go again on a short week. I don't know. I'm concerned about the usage. I'm concerned about the fumbles. I'm concerned about the matchup with the Colts. He's outside my top 25 for tonight.
Yep, the Colts haven't done much right, the Colts, this year, but they do have an elite rushing defense, 2nd in the league by DVOA, behind only San Francisco's. And I think the point is that Melvin Gordon, he's 1 moment away from just being done for the game, because we saw what happened last week, and maybe that was the health, but there was also the fumble, and big return for a touchdown, and then he was just done for the rest of the day, basically. And so if that happens against Indianapolis in a game that we think is going to be tight and low scoring, total's only 42.5, then I think Melvin Gordon might be done.
Look, could he fall into the end zone? Of course he could. You never know on that. But just, you're playing the odds here. Just tough matchup with a questionable workload.
Yeah. I do think that
he could have a monster game. Like, he does know that the leash is short on him, and if he's running well, they're going to lean on him because they want him versus Boone. They want him to work, but so far he hasn't.
Yep. Tough matchup tonight, but rest of the season, Melvin Gordon, like, his outlook, is he a top 20 running back going forward? If you hope that the fumble issues don't sink him, because he should get the usage.
I think this is a 3-headed monster, and I mean, like I said, I think I could see a scenario where Latavius Murray becomes the Broncos running back you want to start.
Oh, boy.
Just, again, ball security is a real issue for Melvin Gordon, and that's not something that gets solved overnight. I mean, that's something it's not like it's just he's had a couple of bad unlucky games.
No.
Like, that's been an issue throughout his career.
Yep. and it's already cost them one game. May arguably cost them 2 games because they would have beaten Seattle if he doesn't fumble at the goal line,
right.
And they might have beaten the Raiders without what happened last week.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and Rotoworld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, okay? Respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from Rotoworld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.